All right, guys, we are back. Sorry about the little technical difficulties we're having here. Again, this is a brand new series we're doing. We're having a little, kinks and cranks that we have to work through. But as we get through them, they're not going to happen anymore. So please forgive us for that. Definitely, we've got our frame rate issues fixed out, everything else fixed out. So we're going to go right back into this here. So to give you a little bit of idea of what's going on here, right here, we have our memory installed. We also have our 24-pin plugged into our motherboard, as well as our 8-pin plugged into the CPU motherboard as well. We already have our processor with it, which is an i9 9900K. And our memory is Corsair Vengeance Pro RGB. And I got the 3000 megahertz kit simply because it's highly overclockable memory, and I'll be able to put it to whatever speeds I really want to without any effects. It is a 32 gigabyte kit. I did opt for only 32 instead of 64 because I wanted to make this build as realistic to most people as possible. Not everybody out there can afford a super try-hard PC, but everybody has the right to be able to build a super try-hard PC if they want. And whether you're building a 16 gigabyte kit or a 32 or a 64 or even 128 gigabyte memory kit on your motherboard, on your super try-hard build, it is your build. You did do it, so you're super try-hard after all for that. So what I'm doing here is basically, picking up where I left off. We were testing out the motherboard. We got the link in chat, I believe. Mox threw it up that you could watch the clip of where the power supply shorted out last time and really killed the H100i Pro cooler we were using. But again, we are going to instead of the H100i, the EVGA CLC 240. This is a 240 millimeter radiator, two 120 millimeter fans, and it's an all-in-one cooler from EVGA. This is going to replace our H100i that we were using, and it actually will fit more in the build than everything else it was. So going to unbox this here. This is my first time ever working with one of these. So we're going to go ahead and check it out together. I'll do the unboxing together and tell you guys exactly what I think about it right off the bat from first-hand experience. So when we open up the box, we have some nice packaging. This is actually very well packaged in here. If you have some shipping guy who likes to throw things over the fence, like TVs and monitors and whatever else, God knows what, then this is going to be safe. This is really packaged well. I like it. You've got a quick start guide right here that shows you everything that you need for what type of bracket and everything else. So I'll show this right under here. So I know, just off of, pretty much basic use, I know that what my backplate is going to be, as well as my bracket for the heatsink, and what type of screws I'm going to need too. It looks pretty much similar to everything else out there in the market. So this is great. So we'll go ahead and get this set up now. Now I did say last time on the last build that with the H100Is, I'm not really happy with the thermal paste that comes with it. I'm not saying it's bad, but I do like to use my own thermal paste. But since it's my first time using the EVGA CLC 240, I definitely want to go ahead and try the thermal paste that's included with here. So let's open this up, and it looks like fans come pre-mounted. Nice. So if you saw last time, what we were dealing with is basically we were dealing with fans that did not come pre-mounted. The fans that come with the H100, they were basically, you have to mount them yourself. So EVGA puts this together for you, so you can go ahead, if you didn't know which direction the fans would blow or anything like this, you'll basically know how. Now, I do know we are going to have to remove these fans anyway, simply because the case we're using is the NZXT H500. It's a front mount for the radiator, and we're going to basically suck air from the front of the case, blow it through the radiator into the case. Instead of doing a pull method like this is set up for, This is actually set for push on the top of the case. And if we had it setting in the front, like we were going to do, it would actually be taking air from the inside of the case and pushing it out to the front, which we don't want. So we'll take these fans off. We'll put them on this side, facing basically the same way, except on this side. So it would be a complete mirror. And then that will blow the air in through the radiator, and that will, keep cool air coming right over the radiator, keep our temps down. But for now, let's go ahead and get all of our stuff out so we can go ahead and mount it and then test it out, make sure everything's working fine before we go ahead and mount it in the case. So in here, let me get this out of the way, guys, so we got some room. In this little plastic bag that I just pulled out, this is our bag of goodies, and that has our back plate, our screw brackets, or bracket screws, excuse me, whatever you want to say. Also has our USB cable that is going to go in to the heatsink, which will give us our RGB lighting. And so let's look here what this is. This is the AM4 bracket screws. We don't need that. This is our mounting screws for the radiator. We need those. And it comes with some washers and the screws. And then in this bag here is our Intel stuff. So just out of experience, I know for like 1156, 1155, or excuse me, 1155, 1150, 51, these screws, and I'm going to put it right here so you guys can see, they're basically evenly threaded on both sides. So you know this is what you want to use if you have this socket. If you have a different socket type, then you're going to use this one here. And that has the shorter end with that. So let's go ahead and get the ones we need out. Get started putting in the back plate. All right. All right, so I've got our screw mounts on that we need. I'm going to get our thumb screws out, and this will basically attach the back plate with the heat sink together and close it down onto the CPU. All right, and for everything else, I can go ahead and just get it out of our way right now. I don't need anything else here. All right, so it comes with AMD, other Intel socket type, and then this is also for AMD. This would actually be your bracket that you would replace on your heatsink if you were using an AMD. And then I did not see the AMD backplate. Should have an AMD backplate. No, I'm sorry, my bad. The screws go in, and that's working as the backplate, as an alternate to the backplate. Sorry for the mess up, guys. All right, so how are we looking over there, Mox, with the viewers? We got any viewers in yet?
We're a little thin at the moment.
Little thin? We got to get some people out, man. We got to get some retweets and everything else. Try to get some people in. Yeah. Build it and they will come. Let me go ahead and set this out to the top so you guys can see what I'm doing. So basically, back of the motherboard, I am going ahead and I'm putting in the back plate in through the mounting holes on here, which will allow us to get our mounting screws in and then attach our heatsink. And that did happen. Okay, so I'm going to do this a little bit more right here. So I'll go ahead and put the screws in while I'm still holding it in by hand and back so it doesn't pop out. So you take the screws in. Don't worry about how tight you put them in because they're going to just go as far as they can go. It's not like you're going to be able to over tighten them here. But for everything else, rule of thumb, try not to over tighten. because you can crack your motherboard. All right. Do we have any viewers in YouTube?
Unfortunately, not.
All right. Not worry. I mean, this is our, you know.
Take them back. Got 2 legs.
Nice. Nice, nice. So this is our.
They're just-
What's that?
I was just gonna say people aren't very chatty.
Yeah. Well, I mean, CES. This is the last day of CES going on too. So we got a lot of, you know, people out right now. So it's kind of expected for this time. All right. So I'm going to take this right here, the radiator and the heatsink. I'm going to take off the heatsink cover, the plastic piece that's covering the heatsink, and I'm going to make sure I have the radiator the right way. EVGA letters pointing or reading the right way. And then I'm basically just going to push this down. Right in. And then I'm going to get my thumb screws. And I went over this last time. For your thumb screws, you're basically just going to go in a diagonal angle to put them down. And I'm just wiggling it a little bit to make sure I got a good seal between the heatsink and the processor. Now you can watch the first part of this video. We do have the links up on YouTube, as well as I believe it's still on Twitch. If it's not on Twitch, you can definitely watch it on YouTube. It basically goes through the beginning stages of what we went through before we had to stop the video. So this EVGA cooler, I actually like it. It's pretty, you know, it's pretty flashy. It goes very well with the EVGA Z390 FTW board. And our last screw. Now I'm only going to tighten these with my thumb. I'm not going to get a screw, even though it has a Phillips head screwdriver end on it. You really don't need that because it's going to tighten down to what it's going to tighten down to. Now I'll tell you what, Mox, I tell you what I'd like to see EVGA start doing. I'd like to see them coming out with their own memory modules. That would be pretty sweet. If they came out with their own memory modules, I think they'd have a solid win. I really think they'd have a solid win. So let me just plug in so we can see if the USB is, or the unit is working as expected. And here's our fan headers here. We'll just plug them right in to the fans. All right, so this is going to go into the CPU header. And we'll put it in CPU fan 1. And then plug these in to our fans. And then we'll give this a little test run and make sure everything's working fine. Again, before we mount it. We don't want to have a repeat. So we're going to cross our fingers, knock on wood, and whatever else we can do that'll be lucky. So we got our motherboard plugged in, we've got our cooler plugged in, we've got our memory in, we've got everything set. Looks good, looks like no issues. So knock on wood, here we go. All right. And it's shutting down again. I don't like that. There we go. Awesome. Good to go, guys. There you see it. Now the EVGA on first light up, it looks like it only starts white. And we do have a post code. That's probably because there's no GPU in there yet, or we don't have storage in there as well right now. So let's just leave this running for a second. Make sure there's no issues, because after what happened last time, you know, I'm a little bit nervous. I don't want anything to happen again. So while doing this, while going over this, I'm going to take a quick second here, let you guys look at this, you know, and then I'm going to put out a little tweet here, try to get some more people over here. All right. Oh, somebody put a copyright claim for something in my videos. That's interesting, because I'm not using anything that could be copyrighted. Uh-huh. It says, hold on, let me pull it up here. Where is it? Oh, for the music I'm playing? Really? Okay, so this is a person who put a playlist out on YouTube for people to listen. All right, so I will take that off. I will put something else on.
That's strange.
Well, you know, if he wants to have it like that, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put something else on.
Yeah, I know the EU is starting to crack down seriously on copyright stuff, especially with streamers.
What is Clank saying? All right. You know what, guys? To avoid any of this, let me go ahead. I'm going to put on some of my own music. This way, nobody can complain about anything. And I do have all rights to all music I'm about to play. So it's no worries. Sorry guys about this, but didn't mean for it to. All right. All right. Mox, tell me if the music comes in too loud, please. Can you hear it? Can you hear it yet? It's a little loud. How's that?
Yeah, I would soften it up a little bit.
How's that now?
That level is fine.
All right. All right, Twitter. Perfect. All right.
Nobody wanted to know if it was Celine Dion that got struck.
What is it?
He wanted to know if Celine Dion got struck.
I don't know. We are. It's the person who put the music up, their playlist, who did that. Now, you know, I mean, most of you guys know I, used to DJ myself. And if somebody put my mix up or played my mix, I'd have absolutely no problem with it. And 99% of the DJs out there wouldn't. Uh-huh.
So while you have a down moment, you can answer a question if you want.
Yeah.
What are your feelings on Intel's return to hard soldering their IDFs onto chipset?
I'm not down with that. I don't like that. You know, that's one of the things that makes PC much better than Mac, in my opinion. It's the ability to be able to customize whatever you're using whenever you want without any restrictions. And when you start doing things like that, you're restricting users. So I don't really like that. Hey, do you have that YouTube link up that you can throw in Discord?
Which YouTube link are you
With the live video?
Yeah, this was actually the first rig that I shared with you earlier. It's the first one I delidded and liquid metal myself.
Nice. All right, so definitely need to change the title of the YouTube video. All right. So again, guys, for people who are just like tuning in, this is a brand new series that we're starting, and one of the things that we want to do is, do builds, overclocking, gaming, reviews, and everything live. Instead of just doing recorded videos and then posting them up. Reason being is because we want you guys to be able to interact with us when we're doing things, instead of, coming back later and watching the videos and not being able to answer questions whenever we need. And all right, sorry guys, I'm just like trying to get in here and try to change this title. So we want you guys to be able to interact with us. All right, okay. So I think we're exactly where we need to be, exactly where we're getting. And I'm going to change that title right there. Yeah.
Just as long as it's not working, right?
Yeah. Oh God, I mean, I remember Jeremy's keyboard.
Oh yeah.
All right, so I got that title changed and I got that tweet out, which is good. And then I'm going to see if we can get some more people. All right, so I'm just inviting a few people here, try to get some more viewers. All right, so get back to it now. And the music's right, the music's good, right guys? Not too loud, not too soft, right? All right, so while we were doing that, it gave us a chance to go ahead and test out everything, make sure everything's working fine. We've had nothing blow up yet. We've had nothing catch on fire. We've had nothing but good vibes so far from this test. So I think we're going to go ahead and start to go ahead and mount it up. I will unplug everything and get everything back together. But before I do that, I'm going to clean up a little bit, put some of this stuff away that I don't need now. And that's a good habit to get into. If any of you have ever worked in a restaurant, they have this thing that, especially when you're working in the kitchen, they say, clean as you go. That way, you don't get all confused, messed up, and discombobulated and go all over the place. You can stay focused and get what you need done without having to move all around, move things around, and jump hoops and get all caught in the weeds. So try to, clean as you go. Another thing I want to reach on again that I talked about the first part of the video is whenever you get something out, if the serial number is not on the box, take a picture of it on the unit itself, because if ever you need to RMA that component, you'll have the picture right there of the serial number, and you won't have to take everything out just to find it when you make your call to tell it what it is. And it's also a good idea to register your product as well. So this is good, everything's looking good. Let me go ahead and turn this off, unplug everything, and we'll go ahead and start mounting this up. So the power supply we're using is the EVGA 850G3. It's a gold rated power supply. That doesn't make it a bad power supply, but if you want to look at power ratings, as in how clean the power is, gold is good, but if you have something like a super tryhard PC, then you're definitely going to want to move up. If you're building a 5000 PC, you want to use something like a titanium or a platinum rated power supply. All right, so we got this together here, everything good. Now I do have a white cable kit that I'm going to use from EVGA. Now this white cable kit is going to give the aesthetics of our build to look a lot better. And again, we're using the NZXT H500. We aren't using the I version. The difference between the I and the difference between the I and the regular H500 is the I comes with an RGB lighting controller built in. So all you have to do is add in the AER RGB fans, and if you have something like this, the Hue 2 lighting strip as well, it'll control it all. So we're going to be putting the Hue 2 in our case, so it'll give us the RGB lighting that we want as well. So another thing that we have here that we're going to put in is the Samsung 970 Pro. This is an M.2 drive, and it's going to go right in perfectly, and it's going to control. Now this is a 512 module. I didn't opt for the 1 terabyte because 512 is plenty enough, and I got a 3 terabyte hard drive that I already have that I'm going to throw back in. So for this right here, you'll basically unscrew this little screw right here. And can you see that good? Or let me go ahead and let me put it on top view. So I actually will need to break out my trusted toolkit here. Now the toolkit that I'm using, I'll just show you guys. I use this for pretty much everything that I do when it comes to computer work. It has everything that you really need. I do have some specialized tools that I don't have in here, of course. But this is a Roswell toolkit. You can get it on Amazon. I'm sure Tom or Clank will be able to go ahead and put this in so you guys can see the link and be able to purchase. Now again, guys, you'll see that when we're going over the products that they are throwing up the links in chat. The reason being is if you guys like something that you want to get here, like the motherboard, memory, the GPU or whatever, then go ahead and grab it from our links because we'll get a little kickback from that. And that kickback will allow us to keep on, making these videos and bringing you more content and more entertaining stuff. All right, so once you put it in, it's going to stick up a little bit. That's perfectly normal. That's what that screw is going to do. That screw is going to hold it down. So just bring it back down. All right, so now we've got our drive plugged in. It's nice, perfect, solid. And I think we're ready to go ahead and start mounting. Let me just clean up a little bit. And then again, put this up. Now the 970 Pro is probably arguably, if not the fastest M.2 SATA drive around right now. Now there's some other ridiculously fast drives out that I won't even try to contend against. But the 970 Pro is definitely a win-win. If for a 512 size drive you don't want to shell out, I think it's like $150. You can go ahead and get the Evo, the Samsung 970 Evo, and that's just as good. It's not as fast, but it's a pretty good solid drive. All right, so I'm bringing up the case now because we are going to go ahead and start mounting it in a second. So I'm just going to move some things around so we can get some viewing in. And all right. So I went over this last time. I'm going to go over it now. So this is the NZXT H500. This is the white edition, and it's a matte white. And it's really, really good looking. It does have a tempered glass side window, and on the top you can either have a 140 millimeter or 120 millimeter fan, and in the back there's room for a 120 millimeter fan as well. Let me turn that around for you guys so you can see. And then the top is right there. So here in the front, as you can see, you have the spot for two 120 millimeter fans, and I think I might be wrong, but I think it can do 140 millimeters as well. But we're going to be putting in a 240 millimeter radiator right here, which is two 120 millimeter fans. And the way that it's going to work is we're basically going to go ahead and go to a top view right now so you guys can see this. All right, so I'm going to unscrew these screws here, and let me put that back full for a second actually so you can see this. There's a screw right here. That screw right there holds in the tempered glass panel window. I'm going to take that out, carefully place it in the box for the case so it doesn't get damaged. Now when you first open it, you will see that the panel has that clear film over it. It's going to be very tempting to peel that off, but try to hold your urges till you're at least done with the build. Reason being, you can scratch the panel, you can do a lot of things that way, and you don't want to do that. All right, so we're going to go back inside the case now. And right here, this is the panel that will actually hold in our radiator. So we will unscrew it, take it out, and once we take it out, we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to move the case for a second just so I can do this. All right, so it's going to fit. This is our inside of the case, and this will be facing the front. So we're going to put the fans and radiator right here. And again, earlier I talked about it. The way that it's mounted, that it comes mounted, is these fans are meant to be, and I'll show you like this. Say the case was laying on its side right here, just like I had it. This is the top of the case over here. This would be the bottom of the case. So basically what it would do is take air from the inside of the case and exhaust it out the top. But since we are going to be having it basically like this, we're going to have to put the fans on this side where they're taking air from outside the case and then blowing it in over the radiator. So we've got to remove these fans. Now, another thing that I had mentioned last time is when you are working with your radiator, try not to over tighten the screws into the radiator, because if you go in too far, you can go and damage the fins to the radiator, which will damage your radiator. And in a lot of cases, a damaged radiator like that will not be covered by warranty. EVGA is really good with warranties. All right, let me take this real quick. I know my intake is going to be from this direction, and the exhaust is facing here. So this will basically be like this. So let me actually do like this. So it'll be like that. So intake, blow over the radiator, and go into the case. Now you're going to be sucking in cool air, so it should keep the temps down pretty good on your CLC 240. Hey Tom, did you take a look at the specs on the CLC 240?
I haven't actually had a chance to quite yet. I know when I built my gaming rig, I was seriously considering EVGA myself.
Yeah. If you get a chance, man, just click that link in the chat, man, so you can go in and check it out, and you know, maybe you could talk about it while I'm doing this. Okay, so let me bring this over real quick. While Mox is looking that over, I'll go ahead and show you guys this. Last time I was actually going to run the H100i that we had. I was going to run it with the tubing going over the top like this. But with EVGA's top mount tubing, it makes it a lot easier to run over like this. There's not as much tension on the tube. I might do that, but the problem with that is then I cover up that awesome looking EVGA logo right there. So I might actually keep it like this. So that was just a side thought I wanted to throw in. So how are viewers looking? How many we got out there?
They are steadily rising. Seems like I'm not the only shy person in chat, though.
All right, chat. If you're there, man, say hi. Let us know you're here.
You know, this is, I think, cooling system I've seen that allows you to change or adjust the jetting inside the CPU block itself.
Yeah. Well, there's other coolers that do that too, but I think EVGA has done a real good job at that. All right, so I didn't have that where you guys could see it. Let me actually move to the full view real quick. What I was doing is I was basically holding this over here. I'm picturing how this is going to look with the radiator and the fans and everything else at the point, at this point. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is actually just put it like this and just use the one mounting screws that are there now. So instead of, and then not use the other mounting screws. So we've got that fan and we've got this fan.
Exactly how I ended up doing it with my case.
Yeah, with mid-tower cases, sometimes it could be challenging to put 240 radiators, but with progressions in technology, it's come a long way. I remember there were a lot of pretty large-size mid cases out there that couldn't fit a 120 millimeter radiator or 240 millimeter radiators, but that has changed a lot. All right, so. Sometimes wish I had a third hand.
Or an assistant.
All right. So it's going to be just like this. Perfect. All right. So figure this out here. I might not need the washers. Now, plenty of space. So I will keep the washers. So I'm going to put one fan in, and then while I have one fan in, I'll just slide the other fan in there.
It's a lot better than a triple-decker sandwich in one shot.
All right. You know, I'm actually enjoying doing these videos. Going away from our traditional article base, I think the video series is going to be something really good. It'll give our users a chance to interact with us, be able to ask questions. I mean, when you see a lot of these builds going on, you know, you don't have a chance to say, hey, why'd you do this? Or why'd you do this? Okay. You know, or even ask, hey, look, I've got this going on with my computer. Do you guys know of a way that could fix that? So with doing this live series, we'll be able to have our users interact with us and get some things going. And that's something that I think we missed out on a lot of times before. Now, I remember ModCrash before I had the accident. We were really doing well. We had a lot of users and a lot of activity on the site. And for those that have been around since those ModCrash days, we did some of the most epic giveaways. And it was consistent. We do 1-2 giveaways a month. And it wasn't, you know, like some of these, you know, that's all they are is giveaway sites. What we did is we actually made you work for the giveaway. You know, be a little active in the site, you know, help people out in the forums, help people out on comments when they answer something about one of the reviews we did or whichever, and it worked pretty well. A lot of people, they really liked how it was, and they were kind of sad how ModCrash went in limbo for a little while. And I'll tell you, I mean, putting ModCrash on hold, that was probably one of the hardest decisions I ever had to do. But that car accident, it really, really screwed me up. Really screwed me up. Alright, so I think I'm going to set this kind of centered here. There's no way to really tell without having the case in, but right now, once I get the case up, we'll be able to mount this in right away and have it done. Alright, so we're at 5 viewers. Hey, what's up, Hoov?
He gave his blessing on the build.
Hey, Hoov, if you want, you can jump in on Discord. Alright. So now bring the case back up. Get this thing going. And we'll do this pretty good. If you guys have any questions, you know, let us know. We do have Mox in chat, as well as we've got Clank as well. So we are live on YouTube and Twitch. So if you guys want to come in and hang out with us, we'd be more than happy to have you guys on board or in Discord. Now I am going to make the ModCrash server public soon. It hasn't happened yet, simply because there's still a few things that we're going through. We're still adjusting a lot of things and getting things together. Are getting a little bit more help now with ModCrash, so that's going to give me a lot of chance to focus on some of the things I've had to neglect because I've been wearing all hats. So Mox is one of our new devs, as well as he's going to be editing some articles as well. So everybody welcome him.
Hello, everybody.
All right, so go in here now, and I need to put in the IO shield here for the case. Now there's this little part here right behind this fan here that this IO shield will go. And rule of thumb, they're pretty much all the same. I've never seen any that have been otherwise this, but if it has writing on it and it's going face that way, unless we're someplace else, I don't know. But you can generally see writing on it or the symbols or whichever. And if it doesn't have any writing or anything on there, then all these holes here for your speaker outputs and inputs, mic inputs, network cable, those are usually towards the bottom. And for your keyboard stuff and everything else, they'll be towards the top. Also for this one here, for our Z390, you can look and see that there's the Reset CMOS button right here at the top. So it coordinates with everything. So to put it in, and if you're working with the Z390 FTW, please be careful with this IO shield. And EVGA, this is something that you guys might want to look at. This one is really sharp. I don't know if it's a one-off, that it's just mine, or if all of them are coming like that, but this is probably one of the most sharp IO shields I've felt. And when you put it in, just like work with it a little bit so it snaps in. And I am having some difficulty. All right, come on. Wow, I can see the notches where it needs to snap, and it's just not going. go. And it popped out. Yeah, well, you know what? Let me try something. No, it's not going to fit there. But this I/O shield does feel a little weird to me. There we go. All right. Now this one, I think it's a little bit oversized. Just this individual one right here. And it's very sharp. So if you get one and it feels very sharp, just be a little careful because you can cut yourself real bad on these. So now with that there, I'm going to look at my case here. Now, if you see this right here, it already comes with ATX mounts for your motherboard. But the one right here in the middle, it doesn't have, it's not a female, it's a male. And what that means is like kind of like a little notch there. That when you sit your motherboard in, it will sit right on top there and kind of lock it in place for you, that you'll be able to put your motherboard screws in later. It won't be sliding all over the place, and you'll know it'll be in place without too much of a question. Is it? Did I get it? All right, so I'm going to come in here now and I'm just going to get my notch lined up. I'm going to make sure my I/O shield is not misaligned in any way. I can see all my USB ports. I can see my network ports, audio, everything's good. Now, one thing I've noticed on here is that this is a pretty flashy I/O shield. So I can say kudos on that as well, EVGA. All right, so now I'm going to basically just put these in here. My fan cables, I'm going to look for a place to slide them in for cable management. I think I'm just going to put them in through this hole right here. I don't know if you guys can see that well. Let me move it out of the way. There's holes here and there, and I'm just going to, and one just slightly below it. I'm going to put my fan cables right in there. All right. So Hoov, it's Steen's birthday today, right?
You might be a little distracted with Atlas at the moment.
Yeah. Man, they grow up quick. They definitely grow up quick. All right, so now that I've got this back in place here, I'm just going to screw the screws back in. And be done. Now, one thing that I've noticed, and I might revisit the way I mounted this, is that my radiator is really exposed right now. And I didn't think about that. Now there's a couple things that I can do. I can make a custom little radiator shield, or I can just leave it like this. I mean, I know I'm not going to be going in here that much, but if you're doing a build for a friend or something like this, then you're not sure if that's going to happen or that's going to be the case, or maybe you have somebody who will go in to your case a lot, you might want to cover that up. So the radiator is pretty exposed here. If I do decide to switch it off, it's just simple, take that off, and then I'll just move the fans on this side exactly how they're faced. and then that should be golden. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and do a little management here for my cables to get them out of the way so we can start working on some more of the fun stuff. All right. So I need to get my motherboard screws now. And that is going to be, haha, here's the funny joke. They are actually on the other side of this case in the 3.5-inch hard drive enclosure. And I didn't take it out this time because I completely slacked on it. But that's one thing you guys don't want to forget. Your case does come with some goodies. So make sure you grab them out of 3.5-inch drive. Don't make the same mistake I made. Let me get this case out of here. And then I can slide this over more now. So it comes with this little, some goodie box, something like this. Now it might be in your hard drive enclosures, whether it's 3.5-inch or it might be stuck in a compartment or something like that. Make sure you just grab it out because inside here is going to have everything you really need to get going on your case. Like you saw just a second ago, I need my motherboard screws that will screw into the standoffs. So I'll need to get those out. Otherwise, we won't be able to screw this motherboard down. All right, so, all right, it's going to be these right here. So, okay, these are M3, so they're metric, and from the looks of it, I'm pretty accustomed to how they look. But if you're just starting off, most of your stuff is going to be metric, and most of your portions in there are going to be 6.3 or M3s. All right, so, and actually, it might be the 632s. I failed you guys, y'all. It's the 632s, not the M3s. All right, so I'm going to start at one spot. Screw down the motherboard. And it's generally going to have rows of 3. So there's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But remember, this one right here is a little notch. Now this one here comes with an additional, and I didn't put the standoff in there. And I don't believe it has a standoff already at that point. Let me just look. No, the standoff's not there. So I don't really think I need it. If I come back later and find out that, hey, I do need it, then I'll just go ahead and take out the motherboard and put it in. But if you're going to run SLI, which I'm not, but if you're going to run SLI, then that might be an option for you to just go ahead and take care of it at this point instead of later on. All right, how's the YouTube looking?
Looking good.
Do we have a lot of users in there? A lot of viewers?
We're getting more in, but not a lot of verbal people in the chat, though.
Interact, guys, interact, interact. Say hi. So for those of you that don't know, I do like to... SLI is dead, honestly. SLI is dead.
I use it as a bit of a crutch. So if I don't want to buy the next big monster graphics card, I'll SLI an older version and get the same amount of output.
Yeah, you know, you could do that. But here's the thing about it. Like when mining was suffocating the market, that might have been a good idea, because a 1080, man, just a regular 1080 was up $1,200, same price as a Ti. That was crazy. So if you threw a couple 1070s together, then oh yeah. Now the sound cards, definitely. Yep. Do they have that in Amazon yet, Clank? If they do, man, throw a link up to that. That new EVGA sound card. EVGA knows that, you know, gamers now, especially streamers, they want top end sound. They want sound that's going to be unbelievable. And, you know, why not? Why wouldn't you? You got to think about, you know, when you're in that game of Blackout and you need to hear those footsteps or Fortnite or whatever it is, you need that info.
See, I would expect you to think tactically. For me, the sound system is at its pinnacle for like Skyrim. That immersion.
Yeah. Hijack. I think right now my go-to AIO is thermal tape. You know what? Yeah, that's an actual, that's an okay AIO. This right here, this was actually sent from EVGA. We were going to use the Corsair H100i Pro, but on our first take of the video, while testing out our components before putting them in the motherboard, we ran into a little bit of a problem. The power supply started shorting out, and it fried the AIO. It fried the H100i Pro. So, our friends over at Corsair, they sent us over this H100i, or excuse me, the CLC 240, and I can't complain about it, man. I think it's pretty sexy. The only thing is the way that I thought at first it was kind of like a little bit of a benefit right here with the front mounting of the tubing. It's kind of, you know, giving it some limitations in how it's actually facing in the case. But as long as it's not blocking too much of the visuals, I'm all right with it. It's not too bad. So, all right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to basically route through some cables. And this is coming from the AIO right now. I want them to come back here through the back of the case. So we get them out of the way, and it makes for good cable management. And this is one thing that you should do from the beginning. Like, get your cables through right when you're working on them. That way you don't have to come to a rat's nest later on.
Cable management is key.
Yes. I was actually talking about it like during the last, or the first part of the build. When I first started building the cases, right here in the back, it was just like a steel plate. There was really no room for anything. And motherboard cutouts, they weren't really that big. They were pretty small, just enough to, you know, let your CPU backplate protrude a little bit, but not the actual mounting backplate, just the actual right here. And when you wanted to run your cables and stuff like this, you didn't have things like right here in the NZXT H500, this channel right here that it comes with. You didn't have, you know, that many of these little standoff notches that you could tie zip ties to. It was very limited. You had to be very creative with cable management. All right, so getting everything together here so we can move in. So we've got our fans here, and these are our fans for the H100, or I'm sorry, the CLC 240. See, that was the original cooler we we're going to have in the build, so I keep on failing. Alright, and then right here, this is coming from our fans from the radiator right here. Alright, and I see a little bit of a hiccup we have with this right here. I think we're going to have to change the mounting position for this. I did want to do a push over the radiator instead of a pull on the radiator, but it's going to cause too much of an issue already. I can see it. So let's just change this out right now real quick. And now that's going to give us a chance to use the other mounting screws that we have on the side here. Now again, guys, if you see any of the components here that you want to purchase, the crew's throwing up the links in the chat. This does go to Amazon links, and we do get a kickback if you get any of the products from the links that we throw up. So if you want to support the stream, go ahead and get something, and we'll be very thankful for it. And it will help us keep these videos going, make more content, and as we go, we're going to be getting better equipment too for the live streams like this as well. So we're going to go in much better definition quality and everything else. We were going to stream to both Twitch and YouTube, but not sure if we're going to keep on doing that all of the time. It might be a 90% of the time thing. But there's just like a lot of issues that come up with, we're using Restream to do this, and we had some technical difficulties the other day when we started this, and we were only able to stream through YouTube, or excuse me, through Twitch that day, and so we got it working today, but we had to start the stream a little bit late because we ran into some last minute issues right before we went live. One of our cameras was acting all crazy on us, and it's that overhead cam there, and had to figure out what was going on with it and fix it up. But it's working now. What's that?
Growing pains.
Growing pains, exactly. I'm actually having fun doing these videos too. You know, at first I was a little bit, you know, shy about doing it. And I was like, oh, you know, well, you know, I'm going to be stuttering sometimes, and I'm going to be getting into it, not being able to talk as much because I'll be, you know, worrying about this. But it's actually coming out pretty good. And it's getting easier as I go too, because I know what I need to say when I need to say it, instead of like the first day I was doing a lot of and I haven't caught myself doing it that much today. I don't know, have you?
No, I think it's the Superman.
Yeah. So here's a question, right? We all know that Thor is Marvel and Superman is DC. Now, do we think Superman can wield Thor's hammer?
Yes. So can Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman could, yes. But Superman, he's not as pure in heart, because he can be distracted and, like, with the red kryptonite, make him evil. Now,
fair enough. Let me modify that to say Shazam, yes.
well, Shazam, now remember, Shazam, he's both good and bad. He has his days. Shazam has killed in a couple of comics.
Oh, now see, I've never seen that.
And now Superman, he doesn't kill. But I think Thor does, doesn't he? Thor does.
I think he has in stories past. I'm not as up on my Thor lore as I should be.
Anybody know in chat? I haven't even seen the YouTube. You know what? I don't know if the stream chat that I see is throwing up YouTube as well. Can you throw up a comment in YouTube and let me see if it comes through the stream chat that I'm looking at?
Nothing?
Nothing yet.
That's odd. Now, when you say Superman doesn't kill, you're not obviously speaking about Man of Steel, are you?
You know I am.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, that was a pretty shocking moment in that movie.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. But he killed to save lives, so that's a question.
I don't think I would have enjoyed that movie as much as if he hadn't been willing to go that far for humanity, though.
Yeah, true. But you know, Man of Steel was so dark. It was ridiculously dark, and it was. I thought it was an okay movie, but I didn't like how dark it was. Superman's not that conflicted. He's not. What? You know, it is what it is.
Well, you're also talking to somebody who remembers the George Reeves days of Superman, so he's always been rather a static voice count in my eyes.
Yeah, yeah. The question was about, do you know if Thor kills? Or is he just a truly pure-hearted, goody-good boy that would not kill? Yeah, Justice League was good. I did like it. Didn't we see Justice League together?
Yes, we did. As a matter of fact, with John.
It was Chris too, right? Chris, everybody.
And ModCrash, yeah.
Yep. So, running these cables back behind now. Get them out of the way now. All right, perfect. All right, I think this is going to be much better this way. So go back now here to the top. Now my radiator is protected, and it actually has a little bit better clearance on the other side as well. So that's one thing to keep in mind. If you get the NZXT H500, the EVGA CLC 240, if you want to do a push configuration, it might not work that well with the fans. You might need some lower profile fans in order to do it. But you definitely will want to protect your radiator on that side anyway. So, all right. Now, one of the better things about motherboards this day and cases is you no longer have to sit there and do all the guesswork for your headers, your motherboard headers. Do you remember the days where you'd have to sit there and okay, here's my, you know, here's my HDD positive and negative, here's my power positive and negative. You don't have to do that anymore, and that's a lot better. I think there's still a couple cases out there, a couple manufacturers out there that do that, but it's not as common as it used to be. Is your case still like that?
Mine's purely modular. Everything has a one-way insert only. They idiot proof a lot of building materials nowadays.
Yep.
Big help for me.
Alright, so what I'm doing now, I know I have this turned around on you guys. I'm just pulling cables through so we can see. Alright, so this right here, I'm just looking at my cables as well. So this is my 120 millimeter fan on the top, right here. This is my fans for my AIO. This is my F panel, and these are my fans up here. Alright. So I'm going to drop this down now again. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this in. So. Alright. So now, my panels are going to connect right here. Then my audio is right here. So I'll actually bring this through the other hole. Now, for newer builders, you guys don't know how easy you have it compared to when I first started building. It was ridiculous. I mean, some of the stuff that we had to go through in order for our board to work properly, it was quite crazy. All right, so now right here we've got fans, fan headers. We've got our USB input for 1, 2, and 3 and 4. And then we've got an additional ATX power 6-pin here. Now this right here, I will probably end up using. I'm not going to use it right now for you, to show you guys, but this is, you know, going to be used for overclocking. And I am going to overclock this. It's going to be another video, so I'm not going to do this now, but I will end up doing it at some point to show you guys how to work it. So now here we have our basically all of our fan cables coming out the back now, and we can either plug into the motherboard, or I have an older version of the NZXT grid. I have a version 2. They do have version 3 out, but I've had this sitting around, and what this will basically do is allow me to plug in all of my fans into this one single unit, and then I won't have any issues with anything else. Now another thing, if you don't have that, let me find it where I put it. There's also the NZXT Hue. Okay, and this is a lighting control, but I think it has a couple of fan headers on it as well. Let me pull it out and look at it. Yes, it's got the fan headers on it. I'm not showing you guys there. Here's the unit. It's magnetic too, so all right. So I'm going to have a USB run-in on that. I also have a USB run-in on my AIO. So that's not going to leave me for any room for another AIO. So I'm going to have to use my motherboard fan headers. All right. So let's go back to the top so I can show you guys this. So here, there's a little slot here for my USB plug-in. So I'll go in there, and then I think the cable's long enough where I'll be able to basically route it through the top. Route it through the top, and so route it through the top, come through the bottom, and go into my USB header here. Now I'm going to run this. It really doesn't matter if you run it into 3, 4, or 1 and 2 on this board. But I'm going to run it into 3 and 4 just simply because I'm just going to go if I can do it. So this is one thing that you might want to note with this case here. Even though it has the ability to run the cables from here, these are bottom facing on the Z390, and the H500 has a bottom facing opening here, but it's a little tricky to get the USB plugged into the USB header. And another thing to think about is, I guess that's the best way to do it actually, you know what? So just never mind what I said. All right, so the next thing I'm going to work on is putting in my GPU. And now we have a NVIDIA reference card with a RTX 2070. This card is pretty amazing. Now it is the reference for the flagship RTX series. So if you want a good alternative to this card, I highly recommend the EVGA RTX 2070. Now you can get a black edition, which is pretty much the vanilla card for it. You can get a black edition for, I think it's like $4.99 right now. Is that right? Can you guys guarantee that? Is that Clank? You know, you can actually throw up the link for the V3 fan controller also, because it is on the V3 now. And I think for whatever reason, the sellers out there who are putting, still selling their, leftover stock for example, the grid, they are selling the version 2 higher than the version 3. And I think it's just trying to make profits back from their overstock, but it's kind of shady.
Just a little.
All right, $4.99. So we're going to throw that link up for the 2070, And if you guys want to get it, go ahead, man. Now, in my personal rig, I do have a 2070, and I can tell you guys that I'm in love with it. Do I need a 2080 or a 2080 Ti? No. Do I want one? Absolutely. All right, so I just made sure it was real nice and snug in the slot. And I used the first PCIe slot. Usually, just rule of thumb, your first slot, first PCI 16 slot, is a full 16 by lane. Now we are moving into the next generation of PCIe, so we're going to have faster lane speeds all around. And I believe Clank did an article talking about PCI 4. Yep. All right. So
during the days of EISA and ISA.
Oh yeah. You know, I'll tell you what. The advancements in just PCI stuff, or let me rephrase that. The advancements in computer tech stuff in the last 5 years has even been tremendous. But serial ports, remember, standard serial ports?
Oh yeah.
I think they were still on motherboards from like 3 years ago. They still had them, 3-4 years ago. Yeah.
And a parallel port too.
Yep. Now, here's my little goodie box from the NZXT H500. Right here, these are the two back slots that cover where we actually put in our 2070. I'm going to throw them in this box right here, keep them for safekeeping, so I don't lose them. Because if I ever want to take the case out or whichever, I have them right there. They're kept safely, and if I ever have to RMA the case for any reason, everything is right there. So I'm going to throw that in my box, get it out of the way, and I do have some more motherboard stuff here as well. Now it does come with the EVGA Z390 FTW. It does come with an SLI cable. It does come with some SATA cables, and right here, this is like a little rubber mount to help keep a little thermal covering for some of the sections that you want to put in. It actually has two of them that you could put in the thermal that you could put for the M.2. And you don't necessarily need to put it there, but I think I think I might actually will, because I'm going to overclock. So I'll go back to that now. I'm glad that I went ahead and just touched over that. Because again, remember guys, I'm planning to overclock this board. I'm going to do a separate video on it, on overclocking, and I'll go into more, more items that we'll have to cover. But for the most part, you don't need to put that thermal pad there. And with the Z390 FTW, it actually has a little spot. And let me switch to the top cam. There's actually a little square right in there that tells you, hey, this is where the little pad goes. So to put it in, take one side off like that. Go ahead, just plop it down there. And it's sticky, So once you stick it down, just peel the other side off, and there you go. Now throw your M.2 back in, and you're good to go. Just pop it into place, and then take care of it. Now, again, this isn't something that is absolutely necessary, but if you're going to overclock, then yeah, do it. All right. This is one of the reasons why you would do this before you put in your GPU, because it's limited space now, and as you can see, I'm having a little trouble getting it in there. Let's see if I can just So how's the weather today? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. All right, let's see. I'm going to just tilt my board up. All right. This is fun, isn't it?
Keeps you on your toes.
Yeah. So I don't know where that screw is at right this second, so I'm just going to take one of the other screws out and put it in. Actually, I think I just found it. No.
It's a very specific screw, so it's not like you can just replace it with something.
Right. So I'm using one from another M.2 slot. It's a very small screw, so it's very easy to all right, I know I'm a little focused in on this, aren't it? Yay! So I'm going to have to find that other screw, but the best way to do it is probably going to be to face it.
I think you need more ray tracing.
And it came out. All right, so now we got that together, and we'll put this back together now. So if that happens, you know, just don't panic. What you want to do is you want to secure your M.2 drive in, and then that way you can flip your case over. Or you can take out your M.2 completely, and then just go ahead and flip your case over. But make sure you either secure your M.2 first, or you take it out. Reason being, if you flip it over and then drop it on the floor or something like that, done. You could damage your M.2 drive that way. All right. So now with the SATA cables out of the way, we got the thermal pad done. We got some garbage here. I'm gonna go ahead and take everything and put it out to the side now, so we can move on to the next steps, and that will start attaching the power supply. So again, we are using the EVGA 850G3 power supply. This was given to us by our friends over at EVGA. They also gave us the white cable kit that comes with it as well. So let me just show you the white cable kit real quick. Within the white cable kit, we've got all of the cables that we need to run our power supply. So right here in package number 1, we've got our 24-pin and 8-pin CPU cables. We're definitely going to use those. Now make sure you save the box, save these cables as well, in the anti-static bag. Because if anything happens to your cables, you need to send them back to EVGA or anybody. You have the stuff right there. You can take care of it. And I recommend saving your stuff. I mean, if you don't want to save it permanently, if you're not going later on down the road, maybe sell it or whatever. You know, like in, for example, EVGA or Marketplace, you can go in there and you can, you know, pretty much find anything that you need. But you have users in there that keep everything like pristine. Everything from boxes to manuals and everything else. So if you do the same thing, if you later on you want to go down the road, you want to sell in like the EVGA Marketplace, the users who you sell it to, they'll leave you a good review on Heatware, which will help make selling your stuff later on more successful too. So I'm also going to need SATA pin. All right. Very funny EVGA. So, I don't have my K-bar over here. I should bring it out, right?
We don't want to frighten viewers.
So, right here, we've got our peripheral cable. I'm going to use one of those. Then I want to use one SATA cable. And that's all I'm going to need for that. I do have one 3.5-inch mechanical hard drive I do want to use. It's a 3 terabyte drive. And then I'm going to need one PCIe cable as well that has 2 ports on it for the cable box. So I don't want to use 2 cables because that's going to take up more room. I'd much rather use something like this and I'll bring it over here. All right, something like this that has your plug-in for the PSU, and then it has 2 different ports that you can plug into your power supply or to your video card. Now, later on down the road, I might be adding in a 2080 Ti or something like that. Who knows? I'll need another power slot, so I'm going to need to put something like this in. Now, let me just look at the cables provided here to see exactly which one I'll need. Alright, so this is going to be the one I'll go with. So I'll go with that. So I have SATA, peripheral, PCI Express, 24-pin, and then I have my 8-pin. Now it does come with also a double split, because if you use an AMD board, you'll have like dual 4-pin or a 4-pin or other which way. For Intel, you're going to have an 8-pin. So I'm going to put all my PCIe cables back in. Put everything else back in the box. Get the box out of the way now. and done. So do we have any, have we had any questions out in the chat or?
Nope. People seem to be following along just fine.
All right. We need to get that chat more active though. We definitely do. We need to figure out ways to do it. Chat, you have any like ideas on how we can make the chat more active? How we can get you guys more involved? All right, so for the motherboard, or for the power supply, it's going to go right here in this part, right in the back right here. This is where your PSU is going to go. Now, you can, either mount your PSU facing with the fan working as an exhaust from the bottom or an intake from the bottom, or you can do it from sucking in from the top. Now, with this case here, the good thing about it is it does have this, and I'm not showing you, it does have these grates right here. These grates give it like a little bit of breathing room. So if you do want to have your fan facing that way, you can do that. And then what it will do is it'll basically take air from inside the case, this area, and then blow it out through the power supply. So I might do that. And then it's going to be, the power supply is going to be unviewable from this area, but you will be able to see the power supply cables coming from there. So, all right. Now, one thing I did not do is take out my thumb screws for my power supply unit. So I'm going to get the box again, and man, this is really, really sharp here. I just felt this. It almost cut my hand. So right here, I don't know if you guys can see it that good. Let me put it on top view. So these areas right here, this is pretty sharp. It's catching myself. Yeah, actually the NZXT cases are known for great airflow. One of the first cases that I got from NZXT was an H440, and I still have two of them in the house. I still have two of them here. One of my kids has one, and the other one's in my little personal PC in the bedroom. But it's an actual good case. So going to go ahead and get the thumb screws out. And I did that with the box all in my face so you guys didn't see me. But sorry about that. All right, what's the time? How long have we been streaming for?
The time is 11:12 on the East Coast.
So we've been streaming for about 2 hours.
About that.
Almost. All right, so here, I guess we could do it from a top view and from the side view there, because you guys can see here and you guys can see from up here as well. So we'll slide in the power supply from this way, because I want the fan to face upward. All right, so before we do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in my cables into the PSU ports, so we don't run into trying to fit our hands in later to get it plugged in.
Finding the other sharp corners.
Yep. Now I had one of the first articles I did for ModCrash was a half 932 case mod, and it was for no, it wasn't for this. It was testing. I think leak testing your water cooling kit, your custom loop, and the fans will cut the crap out of you. I've had I have had the fan like just top of my finger, just like cut, almost take off the nail.
Wow.
And that was not fun. It was sore for a few days.
I bet.
Injured in the line of duty, man. All part of the job.
No Purple Heart for you.
No for you
I
today.
actually opted for the EVGA custom sets. I'm using their Vader fans, and they're user friendly.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? You should throw a picture of your blah blah blah. You should throw a picture of your case up in Discord.
Okay, I have to leave the caveat that it's
No.
just a test. It's not a permanent look. And
No, yeah. You don't have to do it right this second, but just sometime. Yeah. But you know, I was looking at it. You could probably just like physically manipulate the tubing to route it a little bit better without having to take it out and drain your loop and start all over. You could probably just use some zip ties and get it done that way.
my next project was actually hard tubing, so pre-planned.
Alright, so I was going to use the SATA 1 port, but since there is a SATA 3 right next to peripheral 1, I'm going to put those together. And I think I'm going to put my VGA cable, my PCIe 2, I'm going to put it in the VGA 2 slot as well, so we can keep them as close together so we can make sure we route them as clean and nice as possible. Now, I remember watching a video one time. I think it's automated now, but I remember watching where they were doing like these twist ties, and they had workers twist tying each one individually by hand. That would get really monotonous real quick.
Yeah, that would not be fun.
No, not at all. All right, so we got all of our cables in. And we're going to mount, remember, fan up. Because of that mesh there, it'll bring in that good airflow. I mean, we could do from the bottom, also bringing in cool air. Now let me just see real quick. Yeah, I think we're just going to mount it upside down. No. Trying to do this where you guys can see it, but I can't see. So I just did a video actually yesterday. I haven't posted it yet, but I have a NZXT S340 Razor Edition, and this case is pretty sweet. Everything lights up green in it, and what happened was one day when I was doing some maintenance, took off the front panel to dust out the front fans and the fan filter. And when I popped off the case, because it's on there pretty sturdy, it's on there strong, when it popped off, I took the cable and broke the cable off. And I could have like fixed it right away with just some electrical tape and called it a day. But me being as a perfectionist as I am, I'm like, you know what? Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do it the right way, solder it and everything like this. So it sat idle for a couple of years, you know, because I was dealing with the car accident and everything like that. But I think I found a use for the case, and I'm going to go back to it and install something in it. But last night, what I did the video on was actually on how to solder the cable together and make it so it won't happen again. All right, so here I'm going to tuck in some cables out of the way. Go through here. I'm going to top view so you can see this here now. So do we have more viewers in YouTube yet, or is it still like the same?
YouTube's not being responsive for viewer change for me, but I've been noticing Twitch people coming and going.
Okay. All right, so here is our motherboard, CPU. Here's our 24 pin. And I am going to use these zip ties to route this through. Or not Velcro zip ties, let me rephrase that. All right. Now I think I do have a little gripe, you know, on this case. A lot of the NZXT cases out there, they came with a like built-in like fan extender, or you know, like another part where you can plug in fans to like save some room from trying to use motherboard fan headers all over the place. And they didn't do that with this one. I understand it's more of a budget-friendly build, but honestly, I can build one for very cheap, like very, very cheap. So it wouldn't have been that much more expensive to just include it for our users. So here we go. Going to use a zip tie here. And you know what? Let me actually show you guys this. If you use a twist tie before you use a zip tie to make it more permanent, you're able to actually test some of your routing. And from your power supply, you should have a few twist ties laying around. So you can always do that before going a little bit more permanent route. And let me see here. All right, so this is what I was talking about right here. Okay, these are very cheap to make. It has one port in, and then you can run many different fans off of a single fan. And in my case, I think I might actually do that. I know a lot of you might not have these, but if you can, get it. It has a little bit of a Velcro back. You can just fit it on wherever you want to put it. And because I want to use the least amount. Not, you know what? Actually, I'm going to cancel that. But that is good that you guys saw it, that you can use those, because you're able to have a little bit more control over your fan headers that way. So this right here is for my radiator and my it's actually got very good, I'm sorry, that wasn't even, you know, fully in your way. I was doing a lot of things without you guys seeing. So it's actually got a lot of good channels for cable management. And I'm actually really satisfied with cable management here.
Looks clean to me.
Yeah, I have like, I feel like I have total freedom with what I can do. And let me just actually do like this. I'm going to run this under my 24-pin cable, plug it into fan header, then I'm going to run the other one over here under and run it in here, and then I'm going to take this point here and just Velcro it down, and we've got a good cable management system, boys. Alright, so this here, I'm actually going to go into the motherboard on the bottom. There's those motherboard headers there that we can use. And where is my other... So I was looking for my other fan header. And that's going all the way down there too. So that's tremendous. Fantastic. All right, so now, cable management, I mean, some people, they don't care about it, but in all actuality, cable management is really important, simply because it helps control your airflow in the case. It also will give your case proper visual aesthetics too, especially if you have something with the side panel. If you have a side panel, you probably want to show the insides of your case. So do it right, man. And you know, hey, it's really easy to do, and especially with a system like this, it's very easy to do. This here. Let's move our 24 pin on this side. And that's now there.
Nice to have built-in cable runs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like back in the days, I was, you know, I'll say it as many times as I need to get the point across. for any of those who have been building cases or been building PCs for a while, oh man, the horrors we used to go through sometimes to do this. It was... Alright, so you know what, let me actually pop this in first, and then we'll run it after. For the SATA and the peripheral, I don't think we're going to run them much, because SATA cables are going to go for the 3.5-inch drive, and then now I could have done this build a lot faster, but the whole purpose of this build is, you know, for people to see how to do it, you know, how to get this done, you know, so they can do it themselves in the future. Now I'm plugging in my video card, 2070.
In my imagination, I see RTX shorter lengthwise than GTX.
No, it's not that it's shorter. It's that, you know, it might be a little bit shorter, but I think the main thing about it is that now the power cables are running in the back of the card versus the side of the card before. And it's a lot sleeker in the way that it's designed. It's not as, like, you don't have the actual motherboard of the graphics card running off in the back, and then have the, you know, the housing for the fans and the, you know, cooling device inside. So it makes it look a little bit sleeker.
Healthy.
Yeah. All right. And I'm basically just doing the same thing right now with the 8-pin with the CPU up in the top of the case. Put it down here to do this. All right. So now let's go back full. And we'll pull the slack on my cables so they're not all over the place inside the case. All right. Just trying to make the cables look as neat as possible. What's that?
You still think that third hand would be appropriate?
Oh yeah, you could always use a third hand. And I could think of more than just PC building that would work good in. Working on a car.
Oh yeah.
Feeding your kids. All right, and I'm just going to put those out of the way. Now we have our fan headers down here that we want to go ahead and get it to. I'm sorry guys, I'm not talking. I'm like just trying to focus on what's going on here. I don't see what's happening in chat. So if you guys have any questions or anything like that, just put it in the chat. We've got our crew out there looking. If I don't see it, if I don't answer it, they can answer, or there's a question directly to me, they'll say, hey, Fission, this one, somebody wants to know this, somebody wants to know that. All right, so. All right, so now we got our fans almost plugged in. Got one stubborn one right here. And this one's a little bit of a tighter fit, but I think I got it.
Nobody's asking a question as to whether or not this motherboard came with an adapter that collects all of the different front-end wires, like the audio and the power, the reset, the USB, and all of that.
No, like I was saying, a lot of the newer motherboards now and cases, they actually have just one cable, one head that comes with, instead of splitting up like all that other stuff. You know, so you don't have the HDD and the power switch and reset switch and all that. It's just one single cable now. So it makes it a lot easier for builds, takes a lot of the guesswork out. Although if you build enough computers, you could pretty much do that blindfolded. You know, but for newer PC builders, this is definitely a big advantage for you without having to go through all of that. All right, so this is the inside of our case, gents. This is how it's looking. We're pretty much done. We're going to just finish closing up things for the cables here. So now what we have is our Hue 2, the NZXT Hue 2. So let me put it on top. So this is going to control all of the RGB lighting inside of our case. Now the H100i does come with a, I guess you could say a lighting kit. So I think it might come with either, you know, a miniature version of the Hue, or, you know, just a standalone little plug-in version. But this is magnetic, so it'll stick right wherever I want it to. And then let me plug in, you know, my cables as needed. So for now, I'm going to stick that right there. And I'm going to look in my case now. Actually, let me get these cables out of the way here, because I want to be able to have uninterrupted access. All right. So Now guys, as this moves on a little bit more, we will be getting some better gear. So we'll be able to zoom in on what we're doing and everything like that, more automated versus what we're doing now. So these are also magnetic, and they also have a adhesive strip here. So an adhesive strip here, and they're magnetic as well at points. So when we figure out where we want to put our lighting, I think I definitely just want to go here. I think want to run a light up here at the top of the case. Then run a light. Let's see where we can get away with this at. If this will fit right here. I don't know if it'll fit right here or if we'll have interference from the side, from the panel. Hi, Susu. There's not really any interference, but it's going to be showing right there. It's not as inconspicuous as I think I might like it to be. Let's see. I think that's pretty much one of the only choices we have, besides doing something like running it. Running it back in here, maybe giving it like a... Now the good thing about this is that they are magnetic, so I can do a couple tests first to see where we're going to run the lighting. We can also...
Little indirect lighting from the back.
Yep, we can run it from the front panel right here. Actually on this side, because there's the vent on this side. Alright, let's get our cabling out and see what we're going to do here. See how this is going to work. Alright, so this is our USB cable that we're talking about. Alright, so that is going to go from here. I'm sorry I was out of picture, guys. But that'll go right there. And then that'll run into let me see. And I think I'll actually plug in the power supply now too, to go ahead and just start checking it out so we could see where it's at. All right. So if I'm out of range for you guys. You know, without a cameraman, this is a kind of tricky to try to show you guys this while doing it. So I'm going to go to full now, and you know, let's go ahead and plug in our second cable here, which is going to go to our peripheral that we plugged in. And that's going to go in from right next to that. It's going to go into the peripheral. All right, so that's plugged in. Now those cables are done, out of the way. Now we just got to work on our hue lighting. And these are kind of like daisy chainable cables. All right. So we're going to plug our first cable into our Hue 2 unit. It's going to go like that. And take this off. This is going from the Hue 2. They actually have a label on it. It says Hue 2, so I know I need to go for my Hue 2 with the arrow here pointing in the direction where I need to go. And that's one cable. And so this now is acting like a Hue 2 male. It's going to go in to here to plug into our second one. Now we'll go in, basically fish this through. I think I'm going to clean off the workstation a little bit too in a second. It's got still the graphics card box on it. And so now, and let me just switch to full, I guess. All right. So now I just want to remove these caps gently, and they cover the ends of the strips and the plugs, and they have like the little pins in there. So you want to be very careful so you don't bend or break the pins. Then I'm going to plug in there. Let me get my next cable. I'm going to, let's see. Now I don't have to daisy chain them all together at the same time either, so that's a good thing. Let's plug it in and see what we've got actually.
Let there be light.
And it is lit up. I thought I lit the bottom up. I didn't light the bottom up yet. So I can actually come. I've got an idea. I can do. I kind of want to light the back up over here somehow, but I don't see a real good way to do that because the fan's here. Unless I manipulate a little bit like this, I guess I could do that. So now we got our strips here. Go ahead, turn it off. So I need to plug in 2 more, right? So all right, perfect. We're actually going to be doing, and there's no real change from what I'm doing. You know, I plug in the cable into the Hue 2 box, and then I'm just going to run out to the light. Let's see. I guess I can just run from this point in. So we'll run there. Now remember guys, this is just a temporary thing. I haven't taken any of the adhesives off, so I haven't made anything permanent yet. The reason I wanted to do it with the power is because it will give me an idea on where I can run these to be most efficient.
Describe what happens in the off chance you flip the arrows around and plug the RGB cables in the wrong way?
It's kind of impossible to do. But in the off chance, I mean, it's really kind of impossible to do. But I think it won't work properly. So we've got our 1, 2, 3, 4. So I need to do a 4th one now. Actually, now, if I wasn't trying to do this build like step by step for you guys, we would have had it done a long time ago. But the whole object of this series is for the users to feel comfortable to build their own PC. I mean, like I said in the beginning, like of the first video, unless you're sponsored like Ninja and Summit and all these other big dogs, you don't have, you know, a super try-hard PC. Your PC is what you can afford, what you can put into it. And if you build your own PC, you'll be able to pick and choose the better parts for your build instead of being at the mercy of somebody else's idea of a part list. Now, I don't know if any of you saw Walmart for a little bit was trying to get into the PC building market, and they were charging $1,500 for one of their overpowered, what they call overpowered line PCs, and these PCs were garbage. They were absolute garbage, and they really like wanted to have full control over the line. So they soldered everything in, glued everything in, and everything else. So to not have full control over your PC is like a big deal. All right. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right, and this strip here isn't working. Why are you not working? All strips are working except that one. Let me try a different header, because it's possible a header be bad. Now, this actually might be one of those cases that we were talking about. Is it because it's plugged in the wrong way? Maybe so. And I think it is. So there's an answer to your question. Uh-huh. All right. So upon looking at it, this area here is very bland without a strip there. Do you think?
I think it contrasts nicely with the dark and light portions of the case, but maybe some indirect from behind.
I guess the only way to tell that would be to power it off and then
A really silly idea if you're open to it.
yeah.
So if there's any, if you remove the two thumb screws and pull the radiator cap back, if there's any room
No, I mean this whole area here is pretty solid.
Yeah.
So to put anything there, it really wouldn't work. Now I did have, you know, idea of trying to put it in here, but there's just too many variables in the way. So I think the only thing to do is actually put it in like right here.
That might actually work. What do you think, Chad?
All right. So I could cut the lights so we can get a little bit better of a look. How's that looking? Still a little bright? Now I don't have the RGB turned on yet for those strips. So it's going to look pretty good. And the RGB isn't on yet for the for the EVGA CLC 240.
I like the way it goes to the radiator, personally.
Yeah, so I think definitely down here. I definitely think we're going to put one there.
That was a cool image to watch. The whole darkness except for the lit up case.
All right, so strip 1 decided. Strip 2, I think the strip is good here too in the back. How it's there, so I'm going to go ahead and keep that there as well. The top one is good, definitely, as well. Alright, 2 down. This top strip, definitely up here. Definitely happy with that as well. And I think that that last strip, alright, so let's turn it off for a second. good. So the H is where the arrow goes, just for reference if anybody wants to know. If you have it the other way, it's not going to work. You will have no light.
The 4 pins are RBG and then common feed, right?
Yes.
So you're potentially putting your common feed across one of the color strips.
Exactly. That's a good point to bring up. Thanks for bringing that up. So if anybody had that question, why is there 4 pins? But that's exactly right. I bet you Googled that, didn't you?
Actually, I went through that when I set up the plating strips in my own PC. Except for, I was playing with the difference between the 5-volt and the 12-volt systems. Do you know what happens if you plug into the wrong one?
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, there's actually a clip of the last time we were working on your PC that would have similar results.
This is like a tight fit.
No sharp edges?
No, it's just like a tight fit to get this in. All right. I think I got that how we want it. And just one more change to we're going to do here. So I think I'll have to go through later on and put some better adhesive tape on here as well, because there's some points that aren't just like sticking down, staying in their place like they should.
Or possibly switching to a magnetic back?
What's it? And again, you know, doing this without a cameraman is kind of hard. I definitely need to bring somebody next time. Get one of you guys over here to do these cameras.
Will work for pizza. Confirmed.
Free pizza. Pizza free. These should plug in a little bit better. I'm not happy with how they plug in because they're very loose. But nothing a little adhesive can't fix.
You talked about the RPG connections.
Yeah.
I used an old Marine Corps trick, actually. I took a tie strip and then wrapped it around one end, stretched it across both ways, and then wrapped it around the other.
Yeah. I guess I could do that. Injured in the line of fire. Again. Alright, so I have a little trick, guys, for those little places. You know what, actually, let me go back through this. I mean, I did this in a photo shoot, and there actually is some stuff here. But this is more for the mounting of the... So for a couple of these spots where the wires are connected together and they're coming loose, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a single line of tape around it, around this one in particular, that's daisy chained, and this will prevent it from coming apart. So, and this, boys, is the build. Now, I hope I went through like a lot of the questions that some of you may have had on like building it. I know this took a while. There is a part 1 to the video. Can we throw that part 1 to this video in chat? So people who are coming in, seeing this video, maybe not now, coming in later to see the video, they'll see that there's part 1 to this. And then also throw in a link to the clip on why we had to stop it as well. But this is, the build took a little bit longer to do because I wanted to go through step by step exactly how to do this. I wanted to answer questions. I wanted to get things done for you guys, so when you build your next PC, whether you're a beginner or whichever, you'll have a little bit more stuff into play. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to install Windows on this, but I think we can wait another day, or the video doesn't necessarily have to be live. What do you think? You guys think we could either just record the video on installing Windows or do it now?
The M.2 is fairly quick on the installation.
Yeah, okay. So we can do it now. Not a problem. All right. just cleaning up. I am going to put our side panels on now. Now remember what I was talking about earlier when I said there's going to be the film on the glass, and it's going to be very tempting to peel it. Still wait a second. Get your... Uh-oh. Not cool. Alright, so now that it's here, actually let me do it from the bottom. This is very satisfying, by the way. Peeling. I want to do it from the bottom, so when we peel, or when we put the case in to the ledge on the bottom here, the film doesn't get stuck on it. Now, one thing I forgot to mention, before you guys close up your panels, make sure you fire it up, make sure it's working before you do it, otherwise you just have to take off the panels and start all over. This is satisfying. Guys, this is looking super sexy. It's looking super clean. I love the white with the white cables inside. The RGB really accents it. This is looking really good, guys. I'm really, really pleased with this build. I mean, the H500 is a really nice case. Really nice case. And I think the price for the white right now is like $70. Is that right?
Definitely not one to hide behind the computer desk.
There we are. We are golden. I'm going to set it like this. I am going to run an HDMI cable into the capture card. And I might have to stop the stream for 1 second, guys, and then start it back up just so we can get the this registered by the capture card, so we can install Windows. All right, let me see if I can add a new scene right now. No signal. All right, I know why. Did you guys see that no signal in the stream?
Yeah, we off stream.
All right, so all right, so I'm just installing a couple things here to make sure we can get the all right, give me a second, guys. Just installing some stuff. All right, it's installing. Give me 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. I'm going to get something to drink. Yeah, that's absolutely true, Bon Bookie. Um, we also had some insight from AMD as well. They pretty much verified the same thing as you did. We actually wrote an article a little bit about it not too long ago as well. Um, but yeah, that's 100% true. All right. Okay. It looks like I'm going to have to restart. Restart the stream real quick. Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I hope you got that worked out too, man. So with just updating the BIOS, actually, Which board was that? Was it the MSI board, Chris? That had that major BIOS update that would work towards that as well. All right, guys, I'm gonna have to stop the stream real quick and then start it back so we can get the Windows, Windows installed on the build. Walk you through it as well, because right now it's just not showing up through the capture, and I really want to walk you through this. So let me end this stream real quick, and then I'll be right back. Give me 5 minutes at most. Sound good, guys?